So on questions 33 and 34, again, I wanted you to do them, but I want you to write your answer in slope-intercept form, which is the form y equals mx plus b. So I wanted you to write your answer in the form y equals mx plus b. So I'll do 33 and 34. First thing that's important to realize on this one is that you don't know the slope, so you need to find the slope. So I am going to go y minus y and x minus x. So your y values are those ones. So you can go -5 minus 3 or 3 minus a minus 5. But whatever point I choose first, so if I choose the 3 first, I must choose that x first. So I'm going to go 3 minus a minus 5. Because I chose this one first, I must choose this x value to go first when I do x minus x. So 4 minus a minus 3. So that makes 8 over 7. If I were to have done it the other way, -5 minus 3 over -3 minus 4, I still get -8 over -7. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and I get my slope is 8/7. So now you have three different ways to do this problem. You can use y equals mx plus b. You can use y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Or the alternative of that version, y equals m x minus h, which is really x1, plus k, which is really y1. So in all of these instances, you need to choose one of these points to be your x1 and y1, or your x and y. I'm going to use this one, the 4 and the 3. Okay, so that 4 and 3 will be my x or my x1, my y or my y1. So now I just plug those in. Y is 3, m is 8 over 7, x is 4 plus b. So 3 equals 32 over 7 plus b. Now if I take 3 wholes and I turn it into sevenths, I multiply top and bottom by 7, that's 21 over 7. So to get b alone, I minus 32 over 7 over to here, or you could type this in your calculator and it will do it for you. 3 minus 32 sevenths, math, enter, enter, it gives you a fraction. So 21 minus 32 is -11 over 7. So that's my b. So now all that I have to do is write y equals 8/7 x minus 11/7. So same thing down here on this one. I plug in the 8/7 for my slope. X minus x1. x1 we said was going to be 4. Y minus 3, because we said y we were going to use the 3 one. So y minus 3 equals 8/7 x. Remember, we're distributing this to both of them. Minus 32/7. And 4 is really over 1, so we go top times top, bottom times bottom. So now I add 3 over to here. Adding 3, remember 3 is the same as, if I multiply it over top, 21/7. So I'm really adding 21/7. So -32 plus 21 is -11 over 7. And y equals 8/7 x minus 11/7. Just to change things up over here, I'm going to use this as my h and this is my k, or x1, y1, however you want to see that. So y equals the same slope, 8/7, x minus a minus 3, so that turns into a plus k, so plus a -5, which just makes it -5. So I now distribute. So I have 8/7 x plus 24/7 minus 5. Now if I turn 5 into sevenths, I multiply top and bottom by 7. So that's minus 35 over 7. So 35 minus 24 is 11, so minus 11/7. 8/7 x minus 11/7 equals y. So I get the same answer regardless of which point I use. So regardless of which one I use, I get y equals 8/7 x minus 11/7. Now to do question number 34, I'm going to find the slope first of all. Y minus y. So negative 3 minus 2, x minus x. So negative 3 minus a minus 3. So I get negative 5 over 0, because minus minus turns into a plus, which means my slope is undefined. If you ever get undefined slope, it's always being x equals. So see how these x's are both negative 3's? X equals negative 3, because really if I were to have plotted these points, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, right there, and negative 3, negative 3, 1, 2, 3, negative 3, I get a vertical line, and remember vertical lines are just x equals. So if ever your x's are both the same, you'll get an x equals. If ever your y's are both the same, you get a y equals. So that's how that will work. So now on to question number 35. Again, I want you to do this, but I don't want it in standard form. I want it in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b when you're all done solving. The important thing to realize here is that parallel to this means that the slope will be negative 6 on both of them. So I know my slope is negative 6, so I don't have to do any calculations. I just know that it's negative 6. So y equals mx plus b. I plug in this x and this y. So negative 1 equals negative 6 times negative 3 plus b. So negative 1 equals 18 plus b minus the 18 over negative 19 equals b. So I get that y equals negative 6x minus 19. And that's my answer. If I were to use the other equation, y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So y minus my y1, so y minus a minus 1, which makes plus 1. I don't need that. Equals the slope, which we said is negative 6, x minus x1. So minus a minus 3 turns into a plus 3. So y plus 1 equals negative 6x plus a negative 18 minus the 1. Y equals negative 6x minus 19. Again, if I use this equation, y equals x minus h plus k. Remember, hk is negative 3 and negative 1, so that's minus a minus 3, which makes plus 3. Minus 1 goes out here. Oops, I forgot the m in that equation. M is negative 6, y equals. So now I just distribute the negative 6, so I get negative 6x minus 18 minus 1. I get y equals negative 6x minus 19. So we did 35. 36 says parallel to x equals 0. So remember x equals 0. So there's my axis, x equals 0. That's this line right here, x equals 0. But it's supposed to go through 0, negative 3. That's this point. That line's already going through it. So it's just x equals 0. It's always whatever that x value is if it's parallel. Okay? So that's how that always works. 37, perpendicular to this. I'm going to need more writing room. So if it's perpendicular to this, remember that our slope is that key ingredient right there. So slope will equal negative 9/4. So now that I know what slope is, I can use y equals mx plus b. I just plug these in for x and y. So 4 equals negative 9/4 of negative 4 plus b. So the 4's go away, they cancel off. So 4 equals 9, because these canceled off. The negative times a negative made a positive, plus b. Minus 9 minus 9, negative 5 equals b. So y equals negative 9/4 x minus 5. If I use the other equation, y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. So y minus 4 equals my m, which is negative 9/4. X minus x1, so plus 4. So y minus 4 equals negative 9/4 x minus 9. Add the 4, add the 4. Y equals negative 9/4 x minus 5. If I use the other equation, y equals m x minus h plus k. Y equals negative 9/4 x minus 4. Plus 4 because it's minus a minus. Plus the y value, which is 4. So that's h, that's k. So y equals negative 9/4 x. Negative 9/4 times 4 is negative 9 plus 4. So y equals negative 9/4 x minus 5. So y equals negative 9/4 x minus 5. So on this next one, it's perpendicular. So the slope will be 8/7. So you'll do the same thing that we just did using one of these three formulas. And you'll work that out with the slope of 8/7. So down here I said these are bonus, so I'll teach you how to do them real fast. So negative 1 is there. The slope is negative 3/2. So I go down 1, 2, 3, right, 1, 2. I can continue the pattern 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So it's a solid line because it was less than or equal to. These ones are just dotted lines versus solid because it's just less than. So I look at this and I say which y values are smaller than my line. Y values less than my line are all of these ones down here. So I shade this area down here because those are the places where it's less than, the y values are less than. I go to the next question. Y is less than 1. Remember, y is less than is just, y is anything is just a straight, that's an x equals, hold on. Anyways, I drew that wrong. Y equals is a horizontal line. So let's draw that right this time. There we go. Y equals 1 is this line. Those are not connected. Y less than 1, so that's all these numbers under here. All these numbers are less than 1. Everywhere down here, the y value is less than 1. So that's how that one works. Whoa. So y is less than or equal to 3/5 x minus 2. So here's negative 2. I go up 3, right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Solid line. Y is less than, so that's these values down here. Y is greater than or equal to 3. There's 3, greater than that. Y is less than or equal to 5. There's y is equal to 5. Less than or equal is down here. This one you need to solve for y before you graph. It makes it easier. So I have negative y is less than or equal to negative x plus 1. I divide everything by a negative 1. When you divide these by a negative, remember you have to switch your inequality. So you remember that rule from your younger days, divide by a negative, you switch the inequality. So I start at negative 1, the slope is 1 over 1. So that's just this line. And it's going to be solid because it is an equal to, less than or equal to. So that's my line. Now this says it's greater than, so I shade above. Okay. So anyways, that's how those ones work.